For this edition of What's Up Wednesday, I have two things that I want to share with you. Number one is a project that I'm working on that I think will be interesting to a lot of people. And number two is a little bit of a story and how it ties back to GovCon and most business owners. You'll want to stick around for part two, the story there. So the first thing is I'm working on a video to teach people how to set up a CRM to manage their pipeline. I get asked this all the time about CRMs. I'll show you the one that I use. It's not the end all be all, but it's the one I use. I'll show you in one video how we set up the CRM. So from creating an account to setting up the stages, all that kind of good stuff, how to actually use it functionally, that sort of thing. And then in the other video, I'm going to actually show you how to walk opportunities through it. Make sure you got enough in your pipeline. So I think that's going to be a really good training 1-2 punch there for a lot of people. The second thing is the little story here. And it's one of the reasons I'm wearing my Saints hat, my Louisiana shirt. So the other day, we went to this Cajun restaurant in town. I say Cajun, so they're from Louisiana, which often means it's not going to be good. And I'd seen the Yelp reviews, and the Yelp reviews were not positive, but they were a little older. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot, right? So I get in there, and the Yelp reviews spot on. Burnt food, small portions, high prices, all this kind of stuff. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to write my own Yelp review. So I did the Yelp review. And then where I live, there's actually a Tri-Cities Should I Eat There group on Facebook. And I usually do a review there as well. So I did my review there. And same thing. Hey, it's not very good. The crawfish was small. Didn't taste right. All this kind of stuff. And it probably didn't take an hour. And people started commenting. And next thing I know, I've got like 75 comments in the Facebook group, and probably half the comments were the ones that somewhat surprised me. They were all things like, well, what do you expect? You're in Tennessee. You can't get good seafood in Tennessee. What do you expect? You know, and like over and over again. And well, crawfish is out of season. So, of course, they're going to be small, and it's not going to be what you like or what you expect or all this kind of stuff. It was all blaming me. It was blaming me for the restaurant's bad experience. And so I waited for a little while, and then people started defending me, right? People are like, oh, no, it's all gone downhill and all that kind of stuff. But again, probably a half of all of the responses blamed me for the restaurant's bad food and my expectations. And so the comment I made, which is where it starts to get back into the regular business side of things here, is if you've got it on your menu, it should be good. You know, that's a very simple expectation, right? If it's on your menu, it should be good. And I can understand one issue with something, you know, everybody has a bad night, but it's in every Yelp review that this is not good. And it wasn't one item on the menu. It was pretty much everything. I said in my Yelp review that the gator tasted more like chicken than the chicken. But anyway, I think in business, a lot of times we are very quick to blame everything under the sun but ourselves. And that's why a lot of businesses are stuck where they are. And if this hits you and rubs you the wrong way, you might be one of those people that constantly blame everything else but yourself for what's going wrong in your business. You know, you'd be like, well, it's the government's fault. You know, the government has these new regulations. You know, the government, you know, wants to put CMMC in place. Well, the government is only doing LPTA. Well, the government is only doing whatever, right? There's another, well, you know, this other company, they gave a better price than I did. Oh, well, this other company did whatever. Oh, well, the government has got a hold on the 8A program, which is actually just clickbait, by the way. You know, if you're in the program, there's not a pause, but that's for another video. Anyway, there's always some sort of complaint. And a lot of businesses never look back at themselves and say, what do I need to fix about my business? What am I doing wrong? How can I make this better? How can I get smarter about my pricing? I've always been taught in business that at any point, the customer, the government, whoever it is, can change the rules at any time. It's the same thing with a job. They can change the rules at any time. All of a sudden, you're out of a job. And if you are not changing with the rules and looking beyond that, it's your fault. It's all your fault. And you got to fix it. And look, I know there's some things that seem unfair. And you know what? They often are. They often are very unfair. But if we let that stop us, then we'll never achieve our goals. So when something unfair happens in one agency or one office, we go to the next one and the next one and the next one. The government is the biggest customer on the planet. That's just the federal side. Then you've got the state and local side and the education piece, right? There's so much opportunity that if you're treated unfairly or a rule changes or there's some sort of problem, you can go to another customer. There's thousands to choose from, right? But at the end of the day, do you have your ducks in a row? Right? Do you have your ducks in a row? Is everything on your menu up to the standard that the customer wants it? If it's not, you've got to make some changes. Now, look, every customer is going to be different. And you're never going to make everybody happy. We don't make everybody happy. There's people that come to us and they're like, this is not what I wanted, not what I expected. But those are probably a third of 1% of everybody that ever comes to us. 99.999 something percent of people that work with us love what we do. And if there's ever a question about it, we go back and look and evaluate, were they right? Do we need to fix it? What do we need to do? It's on us to make sure that that customer experience is great. So you've got to take these things into your own hands. You've got to take responsibility for your products and your services, what they look like, how they're delivered, all that kind of good stuff. And if you do that, the odds of success skyrocket. Don't be like this Cajun restaurant where they're producing a bad product and there's plenty of evidence out there on the internet. You can't find a good Yelp review on them. You're not going to find a good review on them in these Facebook groups. There's plenty of evidence. They've been tagged in all of this stuff and they haven't changed their ways. They're just set in them. So anyway, a little food for thought there. I hadn't really planned that pun, but that's a good one there. A little food for thought here on this What's Up Wednesday. We'll see you next week.